Cristiano Ronaldo didn't grow up chasing success. He grew up trying to escape uncertainty. There's a certain kind of ambition that doesn't begin as a dream. It begins as a response, not to a rival, not to a trophy, not even a failure, but to uncertainty, to the quiet instability of a home where tomorrow can't be predicted, where adults feel fragile, where security is something you learn to create for yourself. When people describe Cristiano Ronaldo's mindset, they often reach for simple words: discipline, confidence, obsession. But those words are only the visible edge of something deeper. Underneath them is a psychological architecture built early, piece by piece, out of necessity. Ronaldo's childhood environment in Madeira wasn't a controlled environment. It was the opposite. Financial hardship shaped the rhythms of daily life, and family dynamics carried their own emotional weight. Especially a father struggling with alcoholism, a presence that was both formative and incomplete. For a child, this kind of setting creates a choice that isn't conscious, but it is decisive. You either absorb the chaos, or you build an internal system stronger than it. In psychological terms, one of the clearest patterns that emerges from Ronaldo's early story is an internal locus of control. The belief that outcomes are shaped primarily by what you do, not what the world does to you. That belief doesn't arrive as a motivational quote. It forms when a kid realizes the external world is unreliable, and the only stable thing available is personal effort. This is where the famous work ethic starts to look less like a personality trait and more like a coping strategy that turned into a superpower. Because if you can't control the adults in your life, the finances, the mood of the house, then you control what you can. Your body, your routine, your craft, your future. The report describes early signs of single-minded dedication, skipping meals, slipping out with a ball when he was supposed to be studying, behaviors that can look extreme from the outside, but psychologically often signal something else, a narrowing of identity. When a child latches onto one domain where competence is possible, that domain becomes more than a hobby. It becomes a refuge, a place where the rules are clear: train more, get better. Put in hours, see results. Unlike home, performance is honest. And then there's the moment that tends to get read the wrong way. The expulsion from school after throwing a chair at a teacher. It's easy to flatten that into attitude, but psychologically, it can also be read as intensity without a container. Emotions too big for the environment, a temperament that doesn't fit the structure it's placed in. The report frames it as a signal of a young person wrestling with strong emotion and direction, not simply acting out. What's striking is what happens next. At 14, Ronaldo makes a decision that's both risky and revealing. He leaves school to pursue football full-time. That choice isn't just about ambition. It's about identity foreclosure, the psychological phenomenon where a person commits early and completely to a single identity because it feels safer than ambiguity. When uncertainty is painful, narrowing the self can feel like relief. I am this. I will become this. The world stops being a question. And then comes another turning point that quietly explains a lot about him. Leaving Madeira for Lisbon at a very young age. A move like that is not just geographic. It's psychological separation. When you relocate as a child into an elite academy environment, you gain structure and opportunity, but you also lose familiarity and comfort. It can sharpen you. It can also harden you. The report emphasizes that these early transitions, economic limitation, relocation, pressure, help forge adaptability, determination, and a relentless focus on development. But here's the deeper point. Early separation often produces a lifelong relationship with achievement as a form of belonging. If home is unstable, then success becomes home. There's also the health crisis at 15, a heart condition requiring surgery. For most teenagers, that kind of interruption fractures momentum. For someone whose identity is already fused to the path forward, it becomes a test of whether the self survives without performance. And when Ronaldo pushes through it, the psychological message is reinforced. Obstacles don't stop the story. They become part of the story. They validate the identity. This is how resilience becomes automatic. Not because the person is emotionally untouched, but because the self-concept can't tolerate stopping. Later, his father dies when Ronaldo is 20. The report highlights the emotional complexity of that loss. The sense that his father saw nothing, that the relationship never completed itself. Psychologically, unfinished relationships often echo in adult achievement. Sometimes ambition becomes a form of communication to someone who is no longer there, an attempt to be witnessed retroactively. Not in a sentimental way, in a structural way, as if the mind is trying to close a loop that life left open. And through all of this, one statement keeps resurfacing in the report, almost as a quiet thesis. I inspired myself. I'm self-motivated. Self-motivation is often praised as independence, but it can also be interpreted as necessity. Because when external support is inconsistent, emotionally or practically, you learn to manufacture fuel internally. You become both the coach and the athlete, the critic and the comfort, the authority and the child who needs direction. That internal system has a cost. It can produce perfectionism, standards so high they function like protection. If you are perfect, you can't be dismissed. If you are relentless, you can't be abandoned by your own potential. The report explicitly connects Ronaldo's early adversity to the development of emotional resilience, self-efficacy, and the ability to convert hardship into motivation. But the more intimate truth is this. When you grow up with instability, you don't just want success. You want certainty. You want to know, without negotiating with anyone else, that your life is moving forward, that you are safe, not because the world is kind, but because you built something the world can't easily take away. So when we watch Ronaldo later, his routines, his standards, his unwavering belief, it's tempting to label it confidence. But confidence is the surface behavior. Under it is a quieter psychological aim, control, self-definition, a refusal to be shaped by the environment the way he once was. And that's why his story is not simply about talent rising. It's about a person who learned early that if you don't build your own structure, life will build one for you, and you may not like what it chooses. In the end, Ronaldo's sustained excellence begins long before stadiums, cameras, or legacy debates. It begins with a child turning uncertainty into a private set of rules, and then spending a lifetime refusing to break them.